Hi everybody, Beth here from Access Paranormal. I am back from the dead. Felt like the dead. The flu felt like the dead. But thank you for your patience, everyone. I'm feeling a lot better, and thanks everybody for being able to say hello and chime on in and wish me well and stuff like that. It's Australia's going through a very interesting flu season, and I use that term loosely. But yes. Poltergeist activity says report a problem. I got a problem on my phone. There we go. Now we're back in the room. Peter, thanks for joining in. Oh my gosh, maybe I should just start again, but no, it's all good. It's all good. So shape-shifting. My phone just shape-shift off the table. That wasn't paranormal, although I wish I could say it was. Shape-shifting, really interesting topic. Again, you could go into so many different angles with this. Hi, Daniela. You missed the epic fall down. So what is this particular topic? Again, use the comment section down below. I'd love to know your thoughts on this too. Like I said, it is literally so many different paths you could take with something like this, because it's such an old held belief about where its origins are, what can happen, what actually is it, those kinds of things as well. Hi, Daniela. Hi, Christine. So, okay, we'll get into it. So snapshot, what exactly it is. And this was really difficult because when I was looking at this particular topic and I thought I could talk about this for hours, but I'm like, people don't have hours, people have lives, Beth. Remember, this is a Tuesday night in Australia. So what is shape-shifting? No, like I said, it's not an exercise regime. Shapeshifters are thought to be a type of energy that has learned to turn into another shape. So it's an energy that has learned to shape for itself from a human form to an animal form and back, or any type of form it wants, or it's actually an energy that has already known that it could do that and make that. So it's an energy that changes, and it changes its physical look and appearance. Now, again, this could be to the person's ability to be able to see, or person's perception of what they think it is. Like we said, we've all got different beliefs and backgrounds. So I could look at something and think it looks like a dinosaur. Someone else could look at that same thing and think it looks like a puppy dog. So, and it's the same object, same size, same shape, but because of our beliefs and how we look at things, that could also be a possible reason. So anyway, generally that's what it is. They're known to possibly shape-shift due to possible circumstances in the environment. So that's one thought. Maybe it's the environmental conditions around there that they actually turn around and shape themselves into something due to what's happening around them, or is something they actually do by will. So that's another thought process with that too. A lot of people think that this could actually help explain the possibility of aliens. The reason why alien life forms are around, that could also explain the possibility of people having alien encounters. Another reason why some people think werewolves also as well could help explain the possibility of that too. The Loch Ness Monster is another one too. The possibility of why people have never actually been able to have captured any more than a few buzzy photos, and that's all it's ever been. So maybe it's the fact that whatever it is in the waters of Loch Ness is actually shape-shifting into something that is familiar as opposed to actually ever being caught. So things like that, again, we've got to think of that too. A lot of people also possibly think it could possibly be elementals as well. I think that's probably, if we're going to look at this angle, it's more plausible for it to be a possible elemental as opposed to anything else from my thoughts. But that's just my thoughts as well. Hi, Kerry. Good to see you, lovely. So it's a couple of different ideas as to what it could be. In Japan, they have what they believe is, or they call it a kitsune. I really hope I have pronounced that correctly, because I've just offended an entire country. And what that is actually a fox. And what happens is they believe that this particular type of energy or shape of a fox actually morphs into a very good-looking individual. So, foxy lady, kind of that kind of stuff, but also has the ability to be able to morph into trees and or the moon. Now, I found that really interesting because a lot of beliefs about shapeshifters often shape from person to animal, or animal to person, or person to person, or animal to animal. But I found that really interesting, the sense of there's a belief system where this energy can actually morph not just into an animal, but a person, but also the environment as well. So it's something interesting to keep in mind there too. So, of course, with something like this, if you're dealing with possible paranormal topics and you're dealing with private and or residential cases, how would you know if someone's actually said they've believed they've seen something like a shapeshifter? Again, I think this is a very, very grey area with this. I think it's very difficult to try and nail it down. Again, multiple witnesses who saw it. What did they actually see? Make sure they don't tell each other before they've told you, although it can be very difficult sometimes. How many times is it happening? Is it reoccurring? It's a very grey area. I think it would have to be something, obviously, again, something that's seen quite a few times for people to be able to get that data, to be able to find out whether or not it is a shapeshifter. Again, really difficult. Excuse me. Remnants of that lovely flu. So, yeah, whether or not someone's actually witnessed it or not, I think I have, and I'll talk a bit about that soon, for those who may not know. But yeah, it's not as black and white as it is if someone's actually seen an apparition, I think, because we're very susceptible, more so, I think, with shape-shifting than not. From the insect perspective, they transform via threat mechanism. Interesting, Blair. That's a really interesting point, actually. Yeah, really interesting point to make with that one. So again, a lot of people have heard about Skinwalker Ranch. Now, if you haven't, go and look it up. It's a very, very interesting location in the USA. It's almost like 2016 was all about demons. I think 2019, at the time of this video, is kind of all about Skinwalker Ranch and aliens. So do go and have a look if you haven't actually sussed out what Skinwalker Ranch is. But it's an area in the USA, a ranch, as you can imagine, where there are believed to be, I guess you could say, shapeshifters, and it all has come from an American Indian perspective. I don't want to go into too much because I want to ruin it, but very, very, very interesting information about that at the moment. And what it is it causes havoc, and there's unrest and energies around, and not nice things happening, and that's where the negative side of it too. And there's also a bit of, like, I guess you could say, a common belief where with shapeshifters that they shapeshift for negative reasons. So that's another thing as well. A lot of the American Indians also believe that coyotes are also shapeshifters, and I wish I knew that when I was, investigating a location in the Nevada desert and we actually heard coyotes. It would have made it so fascinating. But anyway, I digress. There's that as well. So for me, for a shapeshifter, I would be firstly asking the possibility, okay, if these things do exist and what they're doing, why? Why would something need to shapeshift into something else? There is also a belief with American Indians that American Indian chiefs are able to shapeshift to fix a problem. So if there's a problem in the village or the person or the land, they would actually go in and shapeshift to be able to help the issue. So that was an interesting part to think about, because often it is looked upon as a negative thing that people will experience, as opposed to a positive thing where it's actually intentionally done to help people out as well. So a couple of things to think about there. Again, is it something that someone would consider dangerous? Is shapeshifters, or are shapeshifters dangerous? Yes, I'm sorry to cut that. Blair said it could explain the Yeti. Exactly. There are experiences that people are having, but we haven't found the information that's conclusive to say that these things actually could exist in the wild. Maybe there's the possibility that it actually is a shapeshifter and it shifts in and out of its form in a way that we're just not picking up. So very, very valid point there, Blair. But yeah, it's I don't know. Again, as I said, I'd ask, why is it shape-shifting? What's its meaning? So say, for instance, for the Yeti, like Blair had mentioned, why is it shape-shifting to survive away from human interaction, to be able to survive? Because humans are great at keeping things alive, if you get my drift. I completely understand that. Or is it for a purpose like for the American Indian culture where, it's there, they call upon the shape-shifting to be able to fix a problem. So I would always ask, firstly, is, what's its intention? Why is it doing it? Why is it shape-shifting? Now, for my particular experience, I was in a location where there had been patients that were considered at the time mentally unwell, and we were in this particular part that was meant to be quite active, and was standing there around in a room, very, very quiet, and I was standing in front of somebody who was leaning up against a wall. So I had a bit of an outline of that person already, and we weren't moving any flashlights or anything. All lights were off. It was quiet, and we were just sitting and observing the environment. And I looked at this person head on, and it sounds weird. The only way I can explain it is that it was like another person's shadow started to pull away, like in a sweeping motion. So they kind of did that, and it started to sort of pull away from them. And I wasn't moving. I hadn't moved. They weren't moving. As there was no lights or anything to be able to give shadow or cast shadow, but I saw this shadow sort of splitting off from them and starting to form. And of course, you know, it was early days of investigating, and of course I freaked out, put my flashlight on, and they said, what? I said, you were moving. He goes, no, I wasn't moving. I said, no, you were moving. There's a part of you that was moving away and starting to form next to you. So was it shape-shifting? I don't know. But it was one of the most interesting and intriguing phenomena that I had seen. So again, I wish I could go back. And of course, no video camera. Lovely. Of course, that's always the way. It's always about personal experience. So yeah, it was a very interesting situation to go through. And I was actually quite rattled because I knew what I saw. I wish I could go back, of course, but that's never the case. But yeah, a very, very interesting times then. So it's, again, now I look back as an investigator, go, well, why am I seeing this? Why am I seeing this person's possible shadow pull away from them? What is that shadow? And why was it doing that? And that was also the same location where we had experienced the possibility of a doppelganger as well. So that's another episode we've talked about before here on I Want to Know as well. But again, use the comment section down below. Let me know, you know. We've got a lot of things that happen in the paranormal, and people go, oh, it's this doing this and it's doing that. It's negative, it's blah. It's like, well, we need to ask the big question, why? But why? Why is it doing this? What's the purpose of something causing havoc or wanting to help? And I think that's where we start to really find our true answers. So yeah, shape-shifting ain't about exercise. Use the questions in the comments section down below there, and hopefully my phone will not fly off the table like it just did. The joys. Thanks so much for watching, guys, and I'll see you next week.